Hi, I'm Kevin Drinkall.
Hi, and I'm Michel Nicolai, and we welcome you to Zyzone Networks podcast.
We've been in the network industry for over 15 years, and in these podcasts we want to try and untangle the world of networking, debunk some of those myths, explain some real-world examples along the way, to help you make better choices about selecting the right tech, product, and even help you guys build faster, more reliable, scalable networks, or just to keep your kids happy at home.
Well, everybody, welcome back to Season 2 of our podcast. This is the very first episode, Michel.
Yeah, it's a great milestone that we achieved this, and I'd like to thank all the people that have been listening to our Season 1 episodes, and thank you for the nice feedback, and please continue doing this. And for today, we would like to talk to you more about the trends that we see happening in our technology, especially in 2024.
Yeah, so we're going to kick off with some network trends, generally around what we foresee in 2024. And I think there's some big things happening, right? So there are big changes in the network industry. And I think in the last couple of years, some of those things have been put off. Budget constraints, the economy, the various different things happening in the world, right? And I think that's kind of put a bit of a dampener on the technology side of things. People have put off upgrading or going to the latest tech. And in 2024, I think people are starting to get back to the normal and starting to look at how we're going to do that. And in this episode, we're going to talk about some of the things like security, Wi-Fi. We're going to talk about switching, which is going to go... I mean, it started in 2023 already, and we saw very early 2022 some technology changes. But I think people now starting to realize that this is something that's going to happen, right?
Yeah, and Kev, don't forget about our Nebula platform. Yeah,
absolutely.
There's also a lot of things that will happen on that part as well. So yeah, let's start with the Wi-Fi. Kev, what do you see on the Wi-Fi part for 2024?
So I think the journey starts there, right? We start at the very front end. I mean, Wi-Fi 7, which is being blasted everywhere already. In 2023, we kicked off at the end of the year with our Wi-Fi 7 access point, which is part of the 802.11be standard, and it's 2 to 3 times faster than previous generation Wi-Fi.
And we were the first to market, because we were the first business unit available, and it was a great achievement, and it was well done from our development team to make this happen.
Yeah, so the product, I mean, obviously right now, as we speak and we go to air with this, the wireless access point that we've produced for Wi-Fi 7 is one of the fastest in the world, right? So 22 gigabits per second right now. So it's super fast, right? But it's not all just about speed, right? It's also about how we're going to future-proof, more reliable. And Wi-Fi 7 brings in a lot of technologies that will really advance the way that we do connectivity. I mean, for sure, the density, and when we talk about density, the amount of connected devices has increased, and they all want to go faster. And the only way to really do that is to kind of advance the technology, right? So, yeah.
Well, what do you think? What kind of applications are we seeing with Wi-Fi 7 in the first stage? What do you think will happen first for people that are adopting this technology?
So certainly education will be one area where I think you'll be able to leverage Wi-Fi 7 technology, because you have larger density of devices in quite a small area. More and more classrooms are digital. They're using, some kind of tablet device. I mean, iPad is one of them, right? But there are other tablet devices in use as well. And that technology, to allow them to deliver even higher throughputs with higher density capacity and stuff like that. Hospitality, for sure, definitely see that there, right? Because I think hospitality is also getting back to normal, I would say.
Yeah.
And certainly in these kind of larger event venues, and I would say even up to sort of stadiums and stuff like that, they now trying to use technology to engage with their customers, etc. It's always been there. It's just that the density of devices is increasing all the time. And I think Wi-Fi 7, whilst not all the devices are there, Wi-Fi 7 generation tech will also leverage those 6E devices, and also that 6 gigahertz band that's available there. So,
but I also see new opportunities, new applications made available with Wi-Fi 7. I think with the high video demand, TV studios that can use this, because we are shifting to more higher quality video. So also, I think new applications can be interesting to deploy the new Wi-Fi 7 standard.
Yeah, also there's IoT devices as well, right? So in industry, with part of the Wi-Fi 7 standard was to improve some of the IoT stuff as well, right? So I think this is really important part. They did have some parts in Wi-Fi 6 as well where they improved IoT as well. And I think, if you're using this type of technology as well, industrial applications could also leverage from Wi-Fi 7 as well. So I think this is a really, really important part of the evolution of Wi-Fi, and I think Wi-Fi 7 will take us the next part of the journey, right? But that doesn't take away from 6E or Wi-Fi 6. So for those who are not familiar with Wi-Fi 6 and 6E, Michelle, maybe you want to explain it a bit better.
Yeah, I think because maybe not everyone is aware of the differences between all the standards, of course. And the majority of people today are using Wi-Fi 6. That means that you have the opportunity to use two frequencies, the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz. Recently, the 6E standard came around, where we received an additional frequency that was not used before for Wi-Fi, the 6 gigahertz. And that gives us more opportunities to use that because there's less interference in that frequency. So that's an opportunity as well for 6E. And the Wi-Fi 7 is a new technology that combines all three frequencies all together to get an even higher speed for people that require this. So that's in a nutshell the differences. But I still think that a lot of people still can leverage from the current 6 or the 6E standard, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, also don't forget that, Wi-Fi 7 is still yet to be ratified, and within 2024, at some point, there's lots of discussion points about when the standard will be actually completed. Regardless of the fact that, we've launched a Wi-Fi 7 access point, the actual Wi-Fi standard itself has not been kind of completed, but we work really closely with Qualcomm, and we have a really good relationship with those. And right now, they're kind of leading the way with the Wi-Fi 7 chip. I'm sure the other manufacturers of the chipsets will catch up as well. But right now, we do a lot of work with Qualcomm to make sure that we can launch a product correctly, even use extended parts of the features and functions to allow us to hit that 22 gigabits per second throughput as well. So really, really interesting kind of topic, and way too much to discuss in this trends podcast. So.
Yeah, but it does say that a brand like Qualcomm, is one of the Wi-Fi chip leaders in the world. They're really setting this standard, and we believe as a vendor that this is the way to go to give you all the features that Wi-Fi 7 can bring you.
Absolutely. So, like you say, we've got Wi-Fi 7. Obviously, Wi-Fi 7, as it introduces, obviously has a higher cost to deploy. So those people who have the need for the technology, it's there and available to you. Those people who, perhaps not quite ready, they can utilize the 6E standard or 6. But I think more and more as we work into 2024, 6E will kind of become the standard and allowing it to utilize that 6 gigahertz spectrum and, reduce the kind of problems that we will see in Wi-Fi. So, also one thing to mention on a side note is, whilst all this technology is advancing, we will see more and more challenges in Wi-Fi as well. So I think things like our smart antenna technology will really, help with that element as well. So the flagship product we launched actually includes a 4x4, 4x4, 4x4 radio with a smart adaptive antenna. So this is, kind of encompassing everything in one unit as well.
And the good thing is this smart antenna technology is not only available in the Wi-Fi 7 products with us. Yeah, you also can leverage from this technology in our 6 and even 6E products as well. Yeah, so that's also a possibility to use this technology in those segments.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it comes down to what you're deploying and your requirements, but certainly in terms of technology, we definitely see an early process now of Wi-Fi 7 shift already, and I think those people who require or have the constraints in terms of how they're going to deliver it, the Wi-Fi reliably will start to look at how they can do that with Wi-Fi 7 now. And I guess that brings us on to the next problem, which is the switching side, right?
Yeah, because we have a nice high-speed Wi-Fi 7 solution, but how we can bring this great performance into our network, that's maybe our next topic that we want to speak about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, the challenge is, a couple of things. One is you get really quick, fast speeds on the Wi-Fi, but then you have to deliver it to the network, like you say, which means the network capacity needs to be increased. One of the largest cost elements of actually increasing the capacity on a switch or in a network is actually the cabling itself, right? The infrastructure. This actually can often outweigh the cost of even replacing the switches themselves. So this is where multi-gig comes in. So we have actually done another podcast on multi-gig. So if you're interested, you can take a look at that in season 1. We think that now people are starting to realize and starting to utilize the multi-gig in their networks to deliver this higher capacity, higher bandwidth. Certainly Wi-Fi 7 access points and Wi-Fi 6 access points, they supersede the 1 gig barrier by a long shot. So now they need to go to 2.5 gig as a kind of minimum. And in the multi-gig standard, it kind of goes 1 gig, 2.5 gig, 5 gig, and then 10 gig, right? So, and you can utilize 2.5 gig and 5 gigabits per second over Cat5e. It depends on the cable quality, but up to 100 meters as well. So you can do a direct replacement upgrade to 5 gig on existing cabling, right? And if you've got Cat6e, Cat6a, sorry, my mistake, then you can actually go all the way up to 10 gig. So
yeah, and it's the easiest and the cheapest way to upgrade your network without replacing your existing cabling. Because otherwise, if you want to upgrade your cabling, in the past, you have to change to optical fiber. Now you can keep your existing copper cable, upgrade it, and use the multi-gig standard with your new Wi-Fi access points on high-speed level.
Yeah, so for example, the Wi-Fi 7 access point, which is the the WBE series from us, that has a 10 gig. The 4x4x4 version has a 10 gig socket on the back, right? So this is the uplink is basically 10 gig, and the 6E devices they are 2.5 gig. So we already sort of support the multi-gig on that side. And I think network infrastructure now needs to kind of catch up as well. So we see a trend of actually people moving into the multi-gig technologies, right? And, from us as a brand, we have a whole series of multi-gig switches.
And the numbers of different products in 2024 will definitely be more devices available in each price segment. So that means that for every solution that you want to build a high performance network, there's a product for everyone that can utilize this new technology.
So the other side of it is more capacity, more computing power, more speed requires more power. So PoE becomes another thing. So PoE standard obviously has changed already over the last couple of years. Maybe even 3-4 years ago, we started to see PoE++. But actually now most of the new devices are actually requiring PoE++. Some vendors call it Ultra PoE. But this just means that it's a 60 watt PoE per port. And for example, these larger Wi-Fi access points and the larger CCTV cameras, that have the motors, etc. on them, these are now requiring 60 watts, right? And more devices are now appearing in the market that require this kind of standard as well. So PoE power to the port is obviously another trend that we see where people are going to have to upgrade, which means they need more PoE budget in total on the switch as well. So, in the past for us, a lot of our standard switches would go up to 375 watts, but actually now the requirement per port and the capacity of the switch means that actually we need to increase that PoE budget overall to supply the devices as well. So I definitely see a trend in higher PoE budgets with multi-gig ports delivering higher speed to those kind of devices, hit that edge device, like the Wi-Fi 7 access point and even the 6E devices, right?
Yeah, and the switch is also delivering the high power, as you said, Kevin. Before the maximum power was 375 or something. Now, we have switches can easily do up to 900 or above. So that means that we are taking this seriously to offer these kind of budgets for all kinds of peripherals to connect to our switches.
Absolutely. So the next thing is, I would say, as in terms of technology-wise, is the security side of things as well, right? And I think security, especially when we talk about security, talk about cyber security, right? About protecting the network, protecting the devices. And a lot of devices now, that's why we have Wi-Fi 7 and Wi-Fi 6E, is they're all connected wirelessly. So certainly from our point of view as a vendor as well, we see a shift in bringing that security closer to the edge of the network. So actually putting security elements on the access point protects about before it even gets into the network. So this is certainly something that is important. But at the same time, it doesn't need to be too complicated that it's overwhelming for people to use. And I think that's a really important part as well.
Yeah, and what you also see, as we mentioned in the previous topics, that PoE power becomes more important, multi-gig becomes more important. And that's also a trend that we push through in our security products. So also that you can leverage from the higher speeds, from the connectivity there, where you can power up your devices out of your security device. So you see that all those trends, all those features are also moving into our security platform.
Yeah, definitely. If you look at, most countries, for example, like the UK, they now have 10 gig available to you, right? But if you look across Europe, most countries now can at least achieve 500, 600 megabits per second. So this means that you are accelerating to that point. So hardware in terms of performance also requires, that upgrade as well. And when you're using Unified Threat Management, which, to be honest with you, that should be now the standard for security.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely, in your network, you should be looking at Unified Threat Management as a minimum requirement to deliver the security. And
preferred with some zero-day protection as well, because those are the most dangerous ones.
Yeah, and in season 1, we did a whole podcast on security and kind of terminology. So this covers it in a bit more depth. But the idea is that we need to accelerate this kind of security, and all those security elements which are basically attacking the threats from different angles, which is what Unified Threat Management does. It actually requires a lot more computing power. So that actually means that, more throughput means more computing power. You really need some really fast hardware to do that. For us, we introduced the H series, the USG Flex H series, to kind of combat that area, but other vendors obviously have also had to do this, a similar process in accelerating the hardware to give you that throughput as well.
And I think to bring it back to trends, we need this kind of hardware to comply to the NIS2 directive that is coming in later this year in October, to utilize all those security features that we offer in our firewall to help you protect your network. And that's why it's really key to have this in place to make sure that you are ready for this directive.
Yeah, so check out the NIS2 directive for sure, because this probably will affect you if you are deploying security, for example, and obviously other network elements as well. So we have some parts on our website. I think we have some webinars as well that are going to be running on NIS2. But this is certainly going to drive the need for moving to, as a minimum requirement, a UTM, right? So I think this is really important part that you should definitely consider in 2024.
And I think the security on your file is maybe the obvious thing you wanted to do, but we from Zyxel can also offer you more things on security, not only the firewall that's protecting you with the applications, but we also have other kinds of tools that can help you to secure your network. Maybe you can address some examples, Kevin.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think before we cover some of the examples, I think the important factor is that we don't want to make it too complicated for people to deliver security. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of customers are not cybersecurity experts. The large banks and these big corporates, they have teams of people to do that, right? And the idea is that we bring in tools to make that whole transition easy into security, to give the tools and the functionality that's even automated in some parts to protect you, right? And we do this by delivering it through Nebula. We have an application that's built into Nebula called Secure Reporter. It can be used independently as well, that allows you to give in-depth information and even make changes on in security and apply security things on the fly by itself, right? So we leverage sort of AI technology and some of our cloud technology to deliver this, to assist small to medium businesses to deliver these kind of technologies, right? And what we've done is we've actually brought in experts from, not just us, but also experts from other arenas in the industry. So things like Trellix, which people probably go, who are Trellix? Trellix is actually the enterprise division of McAfee. So, McAfee's a bit better known, right?
But how about Norton? Those are in there.
And Webroot, as well. So
there are many of them that are supporting this.
So we bring in all these kind of experts into our Zyxel security cloud, and then obviously deliver that to our products and our services that allows it to kind of automate and evolve around them. So the idea is to remove the worry, I guess, about cybersecurity and try to deliver a simplified approach, comprehensive in the back end, but simplified approach in the front end for people to administrate and to understand what's going on. So this is a way that we can really assist in this way. But definitely the trend is to people have to deliver security on a higher standard than they do today. So, and I think even if you don't have a budget where you can deliver UTM, we certainly think that it's a requirement. So we've even delivered things like our Secure Cloud Router series, which
our entry-level firewall that can bring you those applications as well.
It is subscription free as well, right? So it means that you don't actually need to subscribe to anything. Of course, the real business infrastructure should require something like a UTM, right? And then you can extend that to the access points. And actually, for us, I mean, it's not a trend thing, it's more of a technology thing, right? But we see the trend of more and more applications going on to, defense going onto the AP. But actually, for us, we've made the security and the access point talk together and work together in as one. So this is actually quite, I wouldn't say unique, but it's a benefit to certainly small to medium businesses where other vendors maybe not thought of this kind of approach.
We also call it security at the edge. So when people enter the network, maybe in this case on Wi-Fi, people connect to the Wi-Fi, and before they are moving into the network itself, it is already being checked by the access point if the user is using malware or anything. Normally, this would be protected by your firewall, but then the user is already in there. And that's maybe you want to avoid. So this kind of solution where we can protect the network from the edge by taking the user out already in front of the network instead of being already into the network.
Yeah, I mean, it also gives us advantages like, for example, we can start to leverage application bandwidth management and stuff like that as well, right, on the edge as well. So it gives us other tools and functions that we can also work in there. But I mean, we diverse a little bit from the trends there, but just to give you an idea of how things are evolving and how they're moving, right? So the other thing is 5G. We can't forget about 5G, right? Because more and more people are looking for 5G as either a failover or some kind of remote connectivity.
People rely on the internet, 100%, maybe 1,000%. Yeah. So if your primary ISP has a failure, your business is going down. Yeah. So right example, a good backup of your internet connection, is maybe a must-have to have nowadays.
Absolutely, and I think the other thing to remember is that 5G now is fast enough to replace some standard internet connectivity, right? And also it delivers really low latency versus the previous generation like 4G and LTE, right? So really it can be used as an alternative. Also, we see it in, there's a lot of construction work going on in lots of countries to try and build accommodation or business, environments, and where they can't actually have a physical line fitted, and 5G can provide a very good environment for them to connect to and do their, basically their day-to-day operations on site where they can't get cable into it, right?
But don't forget, and that's also I think a trend that people are move around much easier and they want to be connected. So they take a 5G router with them, with their holiday or whatever, to make sure that they are connected all the time. Maybe not the person itself, but the whole family or the group or anything. So that's also why people are searching for more connectivity in that area.
Yeah, especially there's like a hybrid approach now for people working, right? I mean, before it kind of went to work from home, and now we have people kind of working in this hybrid approach. So 5G, whether it's in a building or whether it's at home or whether it's in a remote location, it just gives that another application, right? And we've even got projects that we've done in the past where 5G has been the primary, connectivity. I remember doing some cruise ship that goes through the fjords, right? And they use 5G on the top of it and load balance it. So there's all sorts of different applications that it could be used for, but it's still an upward trend. People are still looking at that as an alternative to move away from wired connectivity, especially in rural areas or harder to reach areas as well, right? So.
Yeah. And what combines all these technologies together? That's Nebula, isn't it?
Well, for us, yeah, certainly. From our point of view, we need to bring things together, and I think businesses like our reseller base, they are looking for better ways to manage their products together in one place, right? And the advantage for us certainly is we've got the Nebula platform, and we have a very good ecosystem that encompasses 5G, wireless, switching, security, and gives you that drill down, breakdown from top level all the way down to the kind of connected to the switch, who's connected, and even the client devices as well, right? And the trend is that people want to see that, how it's all put together, whether it's our application or whether it's some other vendor that they're using. There is certainly a trend for that management structure and how it's an ease of use, right? To remove the complication out of installing and scalability, right? And certainly for us, we were very early to the cloud networking arena. So we were one of the, I would say, first three, delivering cloud technology. So we've matured the platform where a lot of other vendors are still trying to play catch up, right? And the nice thing about the way that we've done it is that we've evolved the products to talk to each other. They actually interact with each other, whereas a lot of vendors, they just basically, it's another place to manage Wi-Fi, and there's another screen to manage switching, right? Where we've made everything kind of work together, right? And even get the devices to create some assumptions, about, if this has got this, then trigger this, on a switch, or and we can leverage some of that AI machine learning tools.
Exactly, because if you talk about trends, what's happening over the last couple of months, in 2023 it started, and now in 2024 I think it's only going bigger, with the AI machine learning technology that is developing day by day. So I think that's also an opportunity for us to bring this technology into our Nebula platform.
I mean, obviously AI is a big trend in lots of different sectors, right? But in networking, we've already deployed some AI functionality into our cloud platform for networking, and also we've started to include it in the helping process as well to deliver kind of easier ways to access. So I want to configure this, and it'll try and work out where that is in the platform, and sort of guide you there, right, as well. So to make the whole user experience much better as well. And I think user experience is a very important factor in this kind of ecosystem now, where people want an easier way to deploy, easy way to manage, and an easy way to kind of move equipment, deliver their services. And this is just part of that as we move into, certainly in some countries, as a service, hardware as a service or software as a service is a trend, right? It's not everywhere, but certainly there is a shift towards that. And the cloud platform mechanism is a way to deliver that service. And it's just an easier way to kind of guide you there. And I think a lot of businesses that work in the IT sector, they have to, or are trying to, move away from, I would say, a break-fix environment, right? And move into a kind of service-based delivery.
MSP thing So, and is Nebula the perfect platform to manage that?
Absolutely. I mean, you have the security we talked about, you have Wi-Fi that you have to kind of manage, and you have the switching that you kind of need to, so the whole kind of ecosystem there is encompassed, and even the LTE 5G stuff is in there as well, right? So it allows you to deliver a full end-to-end stack to a customer with ease, right? And take away a lot of the pain points in delivering those services. So the hope is, from our point, I would say, is that they can migrate their business to this type of strategy as that evolves, because it will gradually evolve into that, right? So I think, if we're going to wrap it all up in one shell, we've got three big trends that are kind of happening. So we've got Wi-Fi 7, which is the technology side of things, from the speed, the next evolution of how things are going to connect. And we see, obviously, it's not a new thing, right, that more and more devices are connecting at the edge wirelessly. This is the thing that people expect, right? So the density and the sheer volume of devices, the next standard Wi-Fi 7 will allow us to deliver that with ease, or with some ease at least, right? Yeah. Obviously, multi-gig is driven by the fact that more and more devices are connecting at faster speeds. So we need to deliver that into the network, into the backbone of the network. And then obviously there's the cybersecurity side of it, where there's different elements, right? But NIST too will be driving a lot of factors around this in 2024. So, this is something that you definitely should consider. The other element is a basic level of security now really is UTM. So really need 100%. To consider this, right? And if you don't have a budget, obviously there are devices out there that can help. Ours, for example, is the SCR series, just to give you a basic level of some kind of ransomware protection, right?
Yeah.
So if we're going to wrap up this podcast now, I think we've come to an end. I think we've got a lot of information there to go that we've gone over, so a lot of things for people to ponder on. So I absolutely, I would like to say thank you for everybody for joining as well, and let's see you in the next podcast. Thank you.